Well, hello and welcome back to Diagnosis and Beyond. I'm your host, Angel Carson. I'm a mom, a speech language pathologist, and a brain cancer survivor. This is a station for hope and healing. Now, in this episode, I want to pause and I want to explain the parts of the brain that are involved in communication. There's two specific parts. And I want to explain this because if I just tell you what happened without telling you what was happening underneath it, you'll miss the deeper meaning. And the deeper meaning for me lives in the brain, in language, in communication, in everything I've spent my professional life trying to teach and understand. So before I go further, I want to stop here and explain something, not just as a person living it, but as a speech language pathologist. When we talk about communication in the brain, there are two major areas that we talk about. The first is the Broca's area, and it's right here in your frontal lobe. And the Broca's area is heavily involved in speech production. It helps us take what we want to say, organize it into spoken language. So when this area is affected, a person may still know exactly what they want to say. Exactly. But the words can come out, it can be difficult, they can be slow, it can be effortful, limited, or even absent, as in my case. I was completely mute. The second is the Wernicke's area, and this is located in your parietal lobe. The Wernicke's area is involved with language comprehension. It helps us understand spoken language and derive meaning from words. When this area is affected, fluent speech is still audible. You can still hear what they're saying, but what they're saying isn't making any sense. It's jargon. They think they know what they're saying. They think they don't realize that they don't know what they're saying. They're just talking, telling you where things are, telling you what to do, but they're not making any sense. So you know that so you're visiting your Aunt Sally. She's making perfect sense. The next day you go to visit her and she's not making any sense. So that's a clue that she's either had a stroke or she's had some other cognitive issue and she needs medical attention. So in the simplest terms, the Broca's area is involved with expression and the Wernicke's area is involved with understanding. Now this is the clinical explanation. This is the version I have taught. This is the version I have studied. And this is the version that I explain to patients, families, and students. But there is another version of knowledge, the human version. And this version feels very different when the experience becomes personal. Because there is a difference between describing communication as a function and living through changes in communication as a person. There is a difference between teaching about language loss and feeling the weight of what it means when words do not come easily. There is a difference between understanding the neurology and sitting inside silence. As a speech pathologist, I know these symptoms. I know the anatomy, I know the terminology, and I know what it means on paper. But walking through my own experience of being mute has reminded me that communication is never just clinical. Communication is identity, it is connection, it is autonomy, it is personality, and it is presence. It helps us participate in the world. It helps us tell people who we are. It helps us reach one another. And when communication changes, even in ways other people cannot fully see, something profound shifts. That is why I needed to pause here, because this part of my story is not only about symptoms. It is not only about medicine. It is not only about what was happening in my brain. It is also about what it felt like to live inside the reality with full awareness, to understand more than I could express, to know exactly what these systems do, and at the same time experience how fragile and deeply human communication really is. So yes, I'm explaining the science here, but I'm also honoring the experience. I'm honoring the clinician in me who understands it, and I'm honoring the person in me who had to live without it. And maybe that is why this part of the story matters so much, because sometimes the most powerful understanding doesn't come from what we can define. It comes from what we endure, what we witness, what we survive, and what we learn to put words to when we can. So with this foundation, with the science and humility held together, now I can keep going. Now I can tell you what happened next. This has been Diagnosis and Beyond, and I'm your host, Angel Carson. Thank you for joining me today. In our next episode, we will talk about what happened. See you there. Bye-bye.